Welcome back to Bass Bites with Ann Luna. We're revisiting Clunker bass survival tips. This is
We're
part two.
testing. Yeah. So with our plucking hand, you can see I've got it lower here. I'm going to exaggerate that if I would have kept the bass basically on the ground without pulling the end pin out and had the tendency to just kind of do this pick thing at the strings. And if I'm feeling like I've got to do all of that work with just my fingers, that's going to wear me out. And it's not going to sound the best. So if I'm really pulling with my fingers, this part of my hand starts getting tired. And also if I've got my shoulders raised, then my shoulders are going to get tired. So if I can let my shoulders relax, and then now that I have the bass raised up, I've got this hand lower, so this is going to be louder than here just naturally and have a few more overtones. So I don't have to work as hard to be heard. Especially if I'm in a loud jam situation, or let's say everybody but the bass is mic'd. Sometimes this happens. And if you're just working so hard to be heard, that has been whenever I've given myself the worst blisters, is when I'm just playing really hard for hours on end. So that can help, that you don't have to work as hard. This is also how I ended up alternating between fingers, because I would get a blister on one finger and then move to the next. But now I can play with both fingers. I've tried playing with my third finger. It's not there. So not yet. I'm sure it could be, but again, comparing versus, and I'm not having to work any harder to get that volume. In fact, I'm being a little easier about it because I'm letting gravity help me out, and I'm letting my arm be really heavy. A quick but important aside that I thought I recorded the first time, but I didn't. So we're talking about playing relaxed, right? And playing with where your fingers are hitting. Besides where they're hitting, imagining where your power is coming from with your fingers is kind of important. And I'm talking about plucking hands specifically at the moment. So even if I've moved to a place where I feel like I'm getting volume and tone and my arms feeling fairly heavy, if I just think about moving my fingers here and thinking I've got to work pretty hard and pull to be heard, that's when I get blisters. If I even just let my arm and my elbow feel heavy, my fingers aren't working as hard. It's kind of wild. So you should try this out. Hopefully you guys are playing along with me, or pausing and going and getting your bass. But if I take it further, even if I'm thinking, okay, from my elbow, now I'm thinking about my shoulder, and I've got these muscles in my back that are helping me out, then, oh man, that's even easier. And a lot of it's just a mental game, right? Then I'm going to think about it coming from my core, right? So it's kind of you're playing tug of war, right? If I was just moving with my arm or my fingers, someone's going to probably topple me over. But if I've got my core and can kind of get into it a little bit more and have a wider base of strength, it's same here. And so now if I'm thinking that I've got my whole body helping me out, and I might change my stance a little bit, just where I can feel grounded and strong and like I can move with the bass a little bit. My plucking hand is actually working less hard than if I'm just thinking about my fingertips. So I'm going to exaggerate. If I'm just thinking about my fingertips and I'm up here my shoulder's getting tight because I'm trying to pull hard with my fingers. But if I'm letting my shoulder relax, and I'm even breathing and having a relaxed belly. And if I'm thinking about my feet connecting to the earth, it's funny little mental things, but it actually, for me, it's a game changer for my tone and also just kind of even being present with things. But the point is, for not hurting myself on an action that's a little higher, even though these are nylon strings and easier on your fingers maybe than some of the steel ones, if I'm still digging in real hard, I can still get blisters there. So try that out. That's an important aside. Now back to the rest of it. So similarly, if we apply that same concept of how can I have some ease in my other hand, and this for me, this is going to be my left, and not feel like I've got to just wrestle. So there I'm putting in a lot of effort, and I feel a lot of tension right here in my shoulder and in my fingers. So if I can, usually if I exhale, that helps me remember to relax a little bit. And then I'm letting my elbow come and basically hit the back of the bass. So I'm letting my arm be heavy, and I'm getting this mechanical advantage, so that it's not just my fingers working. I'm letting my arm help me out, and I'm feeling a little more connected through my whole body here. Another thing that can help is I have a tendency, if I'm concentrating or needing to see or hear, I will take my right foot forward and be doing kind of that thing, right? Where I've got a lot of weight on my right leg and I'm not balanced in my hips or my body at all. So if I can get where I can hear and see well enough with the other members of the band, of the jam, then if I take my right foot back just slightly behind my left, then my hips are balanced. And I've got the bass where I can play a little with greater ease. So these aren't only survival techniques, but they certainly help so that you're not, so we'll exaggerate. We'll do the opposite of everything I just said. If I had the bass low, okay, and then I was playing up here and leaning forward and just kind of plucking, we've got, and I'm going to get really tired if I'm doing that. So play with that a little bit because everybody's body's different. Your preferences are different. It's great too if you have the time. I realize this isn't going to happen in a survival situation. If you can get out and record your bass and just see simply placement of your hand and how does that affect your volume and your tone and how you feel in your body. So I hope you have fun with that. I hope that's useful. Feel free to drop me a line, and we will see you next time. Thanks.